Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple Jump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
And my name is Ashton.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
Well, it's
Mr.
been a good
Porter.
morning for me and
Yes,
you.
has everyone had a great start to the day?
So good.
Been all right. Not so much for Ashton.
So good.
Yeah.
Had to get a bus.
Oh,
An hour.
you can stop there.
Yeah.
Had to get a bus.
Yeah.
Buses are the worst.
That's pretty bad.
But you're here now.
I am.
And it's exciting because there's lots of Silent Hill news, and we're going to be able to talk about that a bit later on in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Before we talk about the sponsor this week, though, we do have a couple of things to quickly mention. Firstly, the job listing is still open for the full-time staff writer. That is closing on Monday. So if you're listening to this on Saturday at the time of release and you haven't got your submission in yet, or you're kicking your heels and you want to submit an application,
Do it
now,
Right now.
because you are running out of time. Tat Appeal is open. We've had our first few pieces of tat through in the past couple of days. Very exciting. So thank you in advance. And finally, our beloved Philip J. Reed, who sadly passed away earlier this year, actually finished work on a book before he passed away. We've been contacted by the publisher of that book. They're called Die Books, and there's a link in the description to a Kickstarter where they are funding this first wave of books. He's written about the 1940s horror film The Wolfman, I believe. So if you would like to help support Philip's work, then you can go and have a look at that link in the description. But it is time to talk about our wonderful sponsor.
Yes.
That allows us to keep these lights on. As is tradition, can
Where is
anyone
the
spot
spider?
Dead Island 2 the
Dead
spider?
Island 2.
I think he might have gone
can't.
to the big web in the sky.
No, don't say that.
No, he is very much alive island to the spider. I won't have...
Dead Island 2 the spider may be taking a week off.
Gone on an adventure.
and
2 weeks off because he wasn't here last week either.
I thought we would. I
No.
thought we might have. Is that him? I thought we did that last week.
Maybe,
Did we-
I don't know.
Did we not?
It's like a bug's life. He's gone to the city and he's going to come back with some tough bugs.
Can't wait
Yeah.
for the
Start
parade of
circus.
spiders that invades this room eventually. Ashton, you have the ad read in front of you for this week.
I do. Thanks, Ben. So as you guys might have seen, I was going to say might and may then, and it came out funny. Mate have seen.
Might.
There's been quite a lot of Game Pass action recently. A lot of games hopping onto Game Pass. Plague's Tale, Requiem, Scorn, others
Other
as
ones.
well.
Yeah.
But you know who's been real quiet this week, considering how well Game Pass is doing?
Is that?
CEO of Xbox, Phil Spencer.
Oh,
He's been really quiet. I've not really heard from him recently.
That's strange.
And that's because they're launching a competitor to the new PlayStation exclusive that's coming out. It's, of course, called Silent Phil.
Silent Phil. Of course it is. Yeah, he's been quiet.
He's been so
That's
quiet.
It's been really quiet.
Some would say
Silent Hill
silent.
2 remake is a PlayStation 5
Yeah.
exclusive,
So they were like,
needed
what
to
can we
answer
do?
back.
Silent Phil.
Silent Phil.
Silent Phil 2
That's
remake.
great.
Silent Phil.
Is he
As
at all
well.
concerned potentially that people outside of the core gaming ecosystem won't know what Silent Phil? They won't know who he is.
Everyone knows who Phil
Everyone.
Spencer is.
Sorry, my mistake.
Everyone knows who it is.
Everybody
I
knows
don't know
who
what you
Phil
mean.
Spencer
Who doesn't know who Phil Spencer is?
That's true. So this is bona fide hit,
Yeah.
and it's going out on Game
Bonafide.
Pass.
Yeah, of course. Day one on
Did you
Game
just
Pass.
did you just isolate boner from bona?
No, I said
fide?
bonafide.
Just said bona fide back to you.
Oh, I thought you went bona fide like that.
Oh, maybe I
Okay.
did slur it, but
That's-
it wasn't
It's
intentional.
just because of the bus, you know.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
been
it's
a bus
she's
morning.
powering
Yeah,
down. That's all.
I am powering down, and also this isn't real.
Oh,
They're not
come
releasing
on.
Silent Phil, but everyone does know who Phil Spencer.
Everyone
is.
knows who Phil Spencer
Everyone
is.
knows
He's
who he
he's the Father Christmas of video games. He comes
He
down the
is.
chimney and says, "Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's his Persona 5."
Leave
Yeah.
some coal for you.
Yeah. Yes. If you don't have an Xbox in your household,
Yeah.
you have to pay $59.99 for Persona
Yeah.
5 Royal with no upgrade path from the PS4 version you may already own.
Phil, please, I have Game Pass. I just don't have an Xbox.
Phil, please, not good enough. Pff, and then he also attacks you too.
Yeah.
That's another thing that he does. I don't know if you knew that.
I
He's a
didn't.
very violent man.
Slanderous.
But
Yeah.
he's also silent. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not sponsored by Silent Phil. We're actually sponsored by our patrons over at patreon.com/Team Triple Jump, where for as little as $1 per month, you can submit questions to this podcast. And there's other tiers available as well. So please go and check them out. Speaking of submitting questions to this podcast, Peter, have you got one?
Yeah, I'm just going to crack my can. Sorry, I normally do this beforehand, but
Okay.
Do it.
Rip it, my dude. Oh, interesting. Do you open it
Good
away from
job.
Yeah, this happens to me all the time. Whenever someone sees me open a can, they go,
Okay,
"Why do you
sorry.
open cans like that?"
I didn't
find it
even
easier.
think about that. I always struggle to open cans. It's kind of embarrassing.
Well, try
I
opening
can't
them
always
away
get my
from you.
thumb
I
underneath.
find it much easier to get my thumb under than my fingers.
Fingies.
Curious.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
That's question
Is the
one.
first
do that.
question about that?
How do you open your can of juice?
Yeah, juice.
That's what Fraser says.
Yeah.
Is
He said he
Juice.
calls every fizzy drink in a can of juice.
On our way out of the
Unbelievable.
office today, you were down here already. Was it you or Fraser said, someone
I said
commented, you said.
Someone commented saying that they love watching the YouTube version of the podcast because they like to see what can of juice Peter's drinking every week.
Juice.
Well, it's Fanta every single week, except this week where they'd run out. So I've got a warm Pepsi Max.
It's
Because
warm?
Yeah, it wasn't,
Yeah, it
in,
wasn't
the
in the
fridge.
fridge.
Oh, do you not like the cherry one?
No.
I
Gross.
really like the
Disgusting.
cherry one. It's my go-to at the moment.
There's also berry tango in there.
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah,
that.
I've not tried that. It doesn't look
It's
that
quite
pleasant,
nice,
That's fizzy
actually.
but
squash.
It might be
I feel
okay.
like.
Is
Very
it?
tangy. It also gives me a head. Without fail, gives me a headache.
Yeah,
every
see, cherry,
single time.
the cherry Pepsi gives me a headache. So,
Oh.
and should we finally do question one?
No,
keyword.
At this point, I kind of just want to talk about juice.
Yeah,
for the whole
it's
Cans
a
of
juice
Juice
podcast. Cameron Keywood says, "Ni hao, Bap. I was watching the Golden Era documentary this week. Good job, Ben.
Good
Thank
job,
you.
Ben.
And loved the look at the development process of an all-time classic. Which game would you like to?"
You
I
got
will
this.
get
Have
to
some
the end of
juice.
this.
Have a juice
Hang on,
break.
a warm juice.
Just have a juice break. He'll be okay.
Can
you give us
zero, zero sugar, 0 calories. It won't help me in any way.
Maximum
All the
taste.
flavour.
Maximum
Great
taste, Peter.
Yeah. Which game would you like to see get a similar documentary, and what game do you feel you could talk about in a similar documentary? Kind regards, Cameron J. Keywood.
Thank you, Mr. Keywood.
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Keyword. Thank you.
Well, my answers to those two questions are answers that come up relatively often in my question answering on the podcast, because we've all got them, haven't we? We've all got those games.
Oh, yes.
we say over
Our
and over.
go-tos.
My go-to for which game I feel I could talk about in a similar documentary. Not that I've actually seen the Golden Era documentary, but maybe
You have to pay money for it. So
yeah,
it's-
but I've an idea of what it was probably like. I feel I could talk in a comparative way about Spyro the Dragon, the first game. I know lots of little strange details about that game. I know that originally he was going to be green, and then they changed him to purple so he wouldn't blend in with the grass. He was going to be called Pete the Dragon.
Oh, so close.
I mean,
Oh
you
my
know,
god,
he could have been.
that would have been a dream.
Wouldn't
Spyro Austin over here.
Yeah, the balloonist. So you jump in the hot air balloon. He was originally going to be the boatman, this big sort of Viking man with horns on his helmet. But then I suppose the reason they changed that is because some of the worlds that you access with the balloonist are like halfway up a mountain. So you can't sail a boat up a
true.
mountain.
That's true.
It's a bit River Styx as well.
Yeah, I
sort of
suppose
sailing
it
this
is a little
magical
bit.
boat around.
Yeah, you have to pay him a sort of silver coin or something. But in terms of a game that I would like to see a documentary about, this is another one that's only come up quite recently in several answers of mine on the podcast. Kingdom Hearts, I think, would be a really interesting one to see. So when that game first came out, I had a demo disc for it from a PlayStation magazine, or maybe an unofficial one. And they had a little bit of like talking heads from the development team and talking about how it was literally like, I think it was a bit of an elevator pitch, like someone from Square, or was it Square Enix? Who was it at the time? What were they? When did they become?
They were probably Square Enix.
Yeah, I
Square
think they
Enix,
were
I
Square
think.
Enix.
Yeah, someone from Square Enix and someone from Disney were in a lift together, I believe.
Yes, I've heard this story.
And they were like, we could make a game.
Want to collab with me?
Yeah. But what I think was really interesting, I remember this bit, there was a talking heads bit where a guy was saying, so I think this guy wasn't strictly Disney affiliated, he was maybe on the sort of
It was Square.
the Square team.
Square originally.
And he was saying, we were kind of under pressure from Disney to not sort of make the Disney characters overly violent,
Yeah.
or like to equip them with stuff that they shouldn't have. So he was like, so we were able to give Donald a wand because I think maybe he'd used one in a cartoon before. So they were like, we can do that. And then they had to give Goofy a shield.
He wasn't allowed a sword.
He wasn't allowed
Yeah.
a sword, but he's allowed a shield. And so I always thought that when I first played the game, I thought it was strange that he just had a shield and no weapon, and he was using that as a weapon. And I think actually, if you're really into your kind of military history and like your weapon history, there's probably lots of interesting cultural things where shields alone were actually used as weapons, and that's happened a lot in history. But
Captain America in the
40s.
40s,
but it was the first time I'd ever seen that in any kind of fiction. I was like, why? It just looks like he's half equipped. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one has just a shield.
Just Googling, how do I unlock?
Yeah.
Where can I buy a sword?
When does Goofy get the gun?
Yeah,
exactly.
And I'm sure there were all sorts of other really interesting things where they were trying desperately to meld these two quite different sort of franchises and styles together. And I think that would be a really cool thing to learn about, like how they managed to stitch them together, and Disney saying you can't do that and you can't do that and you can't do that. I think I bet there's all sorts. So I'd like to hear about that. Ashton?
I would love like a true crime style documentary about what happened with Cyberpunk 2077.
Whoa. Yeah.
I would love, it's like one day in rural Pennsylvania, there was a man who had an idea, and then it all went tits up, and you've got like shots of someone being like, oh, it was the hardest day of my life. I was like, she was always such a good person, or something like that. When they get really dramatic about something.
It's got the head of CD Projekt Red. And
Yeah.
he was having a great day until he wasn't. And then the entire image inverts.
And it goes all funny. And I would love, like, they just interview everyone, and it's just like sometimes they just cut back to Keanu Reeves, just like, I had a great time making
People making sex mods.
Hey,
love it.
I love it.
This is not how
Do it
Keanu
more.
Reeves talks.
No.
Hey, I'm Keanu Reeves.
Just generic American accent.
What's going on?
It was going on. I think that would be so interesting to see, like, and if anyone has any like found footage of the dev room when they're like, the game's broken. The game doesn't work. My game, it's broken. I think that would be so interesting to learn about, because it's one of like the modern just catastrophes in terms of like a game release, and that would just be so intriguing to learn about, like a Netflix documentary. The first part's like the build up of the Cyberpunk, and at the end of the first episode it's like, and then it all went wrong, and then in the next episode it's like, and they were roommates.
That's right. I hadn't thought of like disaster developments. Like my mind immediately went to, what would be an interesting, here's how it went well. But actually there's loads of games that I would really like to see.
Fallout 76, 13 remake. There's tons. Especially recently as well.
Yeah.
Saints Row. That'd be interesting.
Even just sort of, it would be a bit harrowing, but like documentaries on crunch going on at like Rockstar and stuff, just seeing how bad things are there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think that would be so interesting, because especially when they take it really seriously and you just think like, it's just got Keanu Reeves, like someone's made a mod of Keanu Reeves like naked. I think it's great. I'm Keanu Reeves.
What's up?
Make a mod of me naked. But in terms of ones that I feel like I could talk about, I didn't really know that much about the development process of many games, but if someone was like, you need to look into something, it would be Horizon, because that's obviously the go-to, because you have to care about something a lot to want to do a lot of research into it. So if someone was like, Ashton, you need to write about the development process of a game, I'd be like, okay, I'll learn about this one, because that's the one I'm interested in. So yeah, I would like to see those if possible.
I would like to see those as well. I'd like to see all of those. I would, if I was to do one myself, I've never really gotten into the reads necessarily about the development process on some of my favorite games, purely because maybe the information just isn't that widely available. But if I was to research one, I'd love to do one on Persona if that wasn't too hard, because I already know some of the rich tapestry of that game and how it's spun off from the Shin Megami series, and how it didn't really hit skyrocketing success until 3, and there were lots of weird translation and localization changes, like Hitler's in, I think, the second one for some reason. Hitler's in there.
Just Hitler.
They altered the race of some of the characters and stuff for the Western release, like all sorts of really strange decisions. And then ultimately, when they really hit their stride, it's when they stopped trying to localize it, and all they did was just translate it, and people love it because it's sort of a window into Japanese culture that a lot of us in the West aren't too familiar with, which is part of the appeal of those games now. But at one point, they were desperately trying to make them as Americanized as possible and hiding the fact that they were Japanese. So I find that really interesting. Not only is that one that I wouldn't mind researching and producing myself, but also it's one that I'd just like to watch if someone made one. But in terms of a series of games that I would like to see a documentary made about that I wouldn't have any involvement in, I would be really interested to learn about the WWE games. I would just be really interested to learn what the practically annualized process was of building a game like that with different characters and the shifting landscape of what it was like to work with WWF and then WWE. I would just find it all very interesting. So that's one that I would like to see, if I could.
I've got one as well that's not a game, a specific game, but I'd really like to see a documentary just on the career and exploits of Peter Molyneux.
Yes.
Just everything he's worked on, like
Make Alex edit it.
Loads of talking heads for people who worked under him.
Fable, when he's saying if you plop an acorn on the floor, a tree will grow there, like many game hours later, and the developers are like sitting in the back going, what is he talking about? That's not real. Project Milo, the whole goddess thing and the Curiosity Cube. There's so much to go at with that man. And No Man's Sky as well would be an interesting one.
Yeah, I was going to say No Man's Sky, for sure.
It's difficult. I mean, those can be talked about. Obviously, documentaries are made all the time about things that happened in the past where there isn't footage from inside necessarily. But I think the documentary Raising Kratos that Sony produced for the 2018 God of War deserves an awful lot of praise because they documented that entire process. And it's available on YouTube for free. It's like an hour long and it's fantastic. It's really just goes to show how many twists and turns are involved in the development of a game like that. So I really do hope that some of these bigger studios do embed documentary crews in some of these bigger titles.
And to have the footage of stuff happening inside, like at the time, like I've been watching that Industrial Light and Magic documentary recently, and fortunately there's loads of stuff, even though that was way back in the 70s, there's loads of stuff there that has been filmed, and that's really cool to see. Like just having literally behind closed doors, seeing into these studios and stuff. It'd be great to see with loads of gaming developers.
Absolutely. Well, it's time for a brand new section, isn't it, Ashton?
It is. It's a section we like to call What We Playin'.
It's What We Playin' time. Time to talk about what video games we have been playing. Peter, what have you been playing this week?
I've continued to play a little bit of, Ashton, you ready? Brick Tales.
Woo!
Thank you very much.
Damn it, I feel so left out. That joke.
Well,
I just don't understand it.
No, something
It just
about
doesn't make any sense.
some sort of duck reference. Don't
Yeah.
really. He had a magic wand once in a cartoon.
That song's been in my head all week as well. I keep singing
Really?
it to myself.
I'm enjoying it actually. Like the more I've got to grips with it's in spite of the bad controls, and like I've had to really just learn what you can and can't do with this control system, and that still objectively is a bad thing and shouldn't be the case. But because I've now just like got my head around like the bad way that this game controls when you're building stuff, I'm now able to kind of just have a really nice time. So finding it very relaxing, just chilling out, going from world to world and stuff, building things. And I also played a little bit more. I can't remember if I said in the previous podcast. No, I think this is maybe since then that I finished my run of Dark Alliance 2. I think that's since last time. Anyway, even if it isn't, since I've finished it, you can import your character in a kind of New Game Plus, and I've gone back just to kind of like max out my character and just for the fun of it, really. But so yeah, played a little bit more of that, having already finished it. But yeah, I think just those two.
Did you say you started playing Plague Tale Innocence?
Oh yeah, like I played a tiny bit of it, and then it was late and I was tired, so I mean hardly anything. But I mean the first few moments of that game are quite good, and I'm just sort of dreading. Well, I say dreading, that's a bit strong, but I just know that you guys thought it went on too long. And
well, it was going fine.
Yeah.
Like, you'll enjoy most of the game. If you get into grips with it, you'll enjoy most of the game. And then it's just like right at the end.
Yeah.
Just right at the end.
And I've just got this like kind of sense of foreboding that, like, even if I'm going to enjoy myself now, there's something coming.
James tells me the second one is twice the length.
Yeah.
Which is
Apparently.
horrifying to me.
Terrible news.
Yeah.
There's more of it.
So yeah, I did actually play a little bit of that the other day, and I've not gone back to it since, but I will be going back to it. So yeah, tiny bit of that too. What have you been playing, Ashton?
Well, thank you so much for asking. I have been playing some more Saints Row. Still love that game. Still broken.
The human horn is great.
The human horn is so good. We've been doing all of the kind of like what are they called, ventures, and their weird thing of like go and get car with tow truck, go and steal van full of toxic waste, that kind of thing. And we're just doing it. I don't know if my boyfriend's enjoying it, but I'm dragging him along for the ride anyway. There was a big Disney Dreamlight update yesterday. So last night when I got home from work, I made myself some tea and played some more Disney Dreamlight. They've introduced Scar, and annoyingly, what they've done with his first quest is it takes like 4 days to finish the first quest because you have to wait for something to like grow in the ground. And that takes, apparently, in brackets, it says, this may take a few days.
Oh.
Don't like that news. Bad news for me. However, they did fix it. I finished Moana's quest.
Oh,
yes.
Excellent.
So she's done with. I've not got to talk to her anymore. She can just do her own thing.
Are the characters voice acted in that game?
Some of them are, but they don't have like full voice acting. It'll just be like, hey there. And then they'll do a thing. But some of them are voice acted by their actual like voice actors, like
Scar
Moana
was
is
Jeremy Irons. Like, I'm sure they probably didn't get him in, but
I don't know. Well, some of them are like sound-alikes. Like Maui's not voiced by The Rock, but Moana is voiced by the girl who voiced Moana.
Right.
So there's like a couple of them are like almost correct. Like Patton Oswalt voices Remy from Ratatouille, so he's in it. But there is like the odd one that you're like doesn't quite sound correct, but for the most part, it's almost there. Yeah, the game is, I don't know if it's because everyone was playing it again because there was an update and everyone was like playing the game, but it was quite buggy. They fixed the bugs that we knew of and now there's new ones. That's good.
Oh.
Just like the odd thing that will just kind of happen. There's like new items and stuff that they've introduced that are kind of annoying. Like one of them only, you can get like rich soil if you harvest your like crops, but you have to harvest crops to get the rich soil, so it's kind of like a bit confusing, but for the most part it's fine. And then I've also been playing some Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. The quick scope of that is on the channel. I've played the first and the second area of the game. I've kind of just finished some of the main story on the second area. I like that game. I don't love all the changes they've made to the series. I wouldn't even say it's a sequel. I'd say it's like kind of a new game, if you will, because a lot of the mechanics are just completely brand new, apart from the same characters from the beginning, the first game. And, you know, there is obviously story continuation at the beginning of the game into the second game. I do think that, like, it is a completely different game. Like, there's all new mechanics. Everything's different. None of the weapons are the same. None of the, like, it's completely new. Nothing's the same. So I am enjoying it. But I do think that if you enjoyed the simplicity of the grid system in the first game, it might be quite the adjustment period to get used to the like fluid movement and that kind of thing. But I am enjoying it, and I am going to play some more. So yeah, that's what I played this week. I also downloaded Plague's Tale Requiem to play, but I thought Disney game's out. I'm going to play my Disney game instead of the rat game.
The rat game.
That's what I've played this week.
Wonderful. I had some friends up over the weekend and I played some Elden Ring, which was very fun. We were basically just trying to get my friend, who was fairly late in the game, to the finish line. That was the goal. We didn't manage that because we only had one evening to do it. And we got stuck on that flipping giant frost giant man who rolls around and has a big shield, and he's got like an eye in his tummy and he fires like fireballs at you and stuff. I found that a challenge when I played it on my own through the first time, but it only took me a few attempts to actually do it. But then with the same character, huge, like way more powerful with all the game I've played since I was at that point initially. And with two other people, it's really bloody hard. There's something to be said for playing in co-op actually making a lot of the bosses really, really hard. And I know it scales stuff up.
I was going to say, does it scale to the highest level player?
Not entirely sure. I think it should scale. If you summon people in, it scales people up to your level or down to your level. But I know that the difficulty is cranked up when there's more than one of you playing through. And that boss was so hard.
Does it change boss behavior, or is it just like their health and damage?
I think it's just health and damage,
Right.
and also they're way more unpredictable as well because they're trying to fight several people at
Yeah.
once. So you know if you're sometimes they'll just come for you and come for you and come for you when your friends are like hitting them in the back. And you have no chance to heal. And sometimes you just get one-shotted and then you're dead, even though you're level 3,000 or whatever. So that was a real challenge. But we did get him through a huge portion of it, which was good. I think he ended up killing that boss. I think he might have done actually. We did get through that one in the end, and then we got to another one, which was really hard. So we just called it there, basically. Played a little bit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, that great sort of side-scroller. Only played like a couple of levels of that, but that was fun. Played the first chapter of Plague Tale Requiem, which is available in Quipscope form now on the channel and on the podcast feed. I didn't dislike it from what I played, but all the reviews I've seen, have said, wow, this game's so much better than the last one, and it really feels very much like the same game so far. I know James has played more of it, and they add some additional mechanics in, but in terms of like kind of general gameplay clunkiness and some weird visual stuff, I didn't really feel like I was playing a new game with the benefit of a few years of development. It felt very much like this was just a 1.5 or just an epilogue on the end of the first game. So I'm looking forward to playing more and seeing how I get on.
Did you see all 300,000 rats?
Not yet. I
In the
haven't actually
first
seen
game-
any rats.
In the first game, they could only ever load 5,000 rats. But in this game, they can load
I have
300,000
seen that
rats.
number going around, yeah.
Which may explain why the frame rate isn't very good
Yeah,
as well.
that's too
to
many
support
rats,
that.
guys.
It's too many rats. 5,000 was fine.
Yeah.
But either way, I didn't dislike what I played, so I am looking forward to playing more. But there's so much out. I don't have time. I've got to finish off the Last of Us remake. There's flipping new Tales from the Borderlands this weekend, and then there's something else next
Isn't
week
that out
as well.
tomorrow?
Yeah. At the time of recording, it should be out right now.
And Gotham Knights is coming out
Gotham
soon.
Knights is out soon. It doesn't stop. It simply doesn't stop.
And then after that, God of War. There's literally
there's
no
God of
time.
War coming.
Remember
There's no time.
at the beginning of the year when it was like constant stuff coming out? Well, we had like a real lull over the summer
so
of just
nice.
not a lot happening. And we were all playing like old stuff, catching up on stuff. And now it seems like for the rest of the year, there's basically something coming out every few days.
There's no time.
I want to play The Last of Us before the end of the year, and then there's God of War as well, and and there's so much next year as well that got pushed. So it's going to be a busy
February,
2023.
March next year are going to be busy as well.
It's ridiculously busy.
It is.
It's now time for question 2.
It is. It comes from Steven Skodes. Hi, Bap. Lately, I've been playing Fallout New Vegas via streaming through PS Plus Premium. It's been fun playing it again, but I have some issues with it. The frame rate drops many times, and when inactive for a while, the game closes, but the time of inactivity is never the same. There hasn't been a warning that the game is about to close due to inactivity. I'm starting to think that this part of the service is really not worth it for playing older games. What has been your experience with this part of PlayStation Plus service? If you haven't tried it, would you utilise it for playing older games, or would you just play them on their original hardware? Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.
I don't have any experience of the new upgraded fresh version of the service, but I did play PS Now some years ago when the latency was a bit more noticeable. Played some BioShock, and it was okay. I probably could have got through the game, but I did notice that there was a slight lag on stuff. So, but since then, I've not really streamed any games, I don't think. If I was to use the service, though, it would certainly, here and now, the thing that would kind of tempt me would be to play older games, and particularly much older games. If they improved their back catalogue of PS1 and PS2 games, I'd be sold. And I guess PS3 stuff that I missed as well, because I had a 360 at the time. But I am, once I'm post house move and I'm in my new place, I'm thinking of buying a load of old hardware and just getting it all set up. So even then, there wouldn't be any advantage to me if suddenly they were like, hey, now you can play a bunch of stuff from the PS2 or whatever. I'd be like, well, I'm all set up now. I mean, I do have a PS2 as things stand, but I never really had it set up in a nice way to like just sit down and play it on the sofa. It was always a faff. So yeah, once I've got it all like done, I can't really see me wanting to, sign up for premium, or certainly not with old games being the incentive to do so. So yeah, I don't know. I've not tried it myself, and I don't know if and when I will, or what will bring me to do it. I'd sooner get Game Pass first, which I also don't have. So that's a priority to me over premium.
I have played some stuff on PlayStation Premium because my boyfriend has it, and we just share it essentially. So we've played in PlayStation Extra is the first tier up, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We've played some Returnal, which we've had fun with, but we've downloaded that game. We haven't streamed it. But there was a couple times that I was back in Leicester and we streamed a couple of games. And there definitely was like frame rate issues, but the games that I was streaming weren't very frame rate intensive. It was like Viva Pinata, which isn't very intensive on anything. Ben has been playing quite a lot of Sly Cooper, but I think he's just downloaded it. He hasn't been streaming it because streaming is unreliable at the best of times, and it's probably not like the way most people want to play a game. He'd probably rather download it, as would I. So I haven't experienced streaming it very much, but then there hasn't been many games where I've been like mandatory to stream it. Like we've not played any PlayStation 3 games really. So we've not had to stream anything so far. But when I used to stream things on Now, there was always kind of like weird laggy issues or just like some delay in the controls and stuff. But is to be expected with streaming nowadays. I don't really stream on Xbox Game Pass either, to be honest. I've done the odd streaming thing when I've like not had my PC with me or I've had my laptop or something. But for the most part, if your internet isn't good enough, you're not going to have a good experience anyway. And not every internet provider is going to be good enough and is going to be reliable enough to have fun playing a game the whole time. But it does sound like it doesn't necessarily work that well, which is a shame because they were like, you can stream all of our games, how exciting, and then gave us a mediocre selection of games and then also haven't perfected their streaming software. So yeah, it's a shame, but I think I just don't know many people that have paid PlayStation Premium at like the rate that they were asking for. So I don't know. I don't know how well this model is going to last, to be honest, or how long we're going to have this set up, because I just don't see it working that well for the majority of people, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I agree. I haven't subscribed to Extra or Premium, and I have no current interest in doing that. I think, as we said before, if a game was put on Extra that I really wanted to play and the cost of upgrading for a month was less than buying the game, then it would make financial sense to do that. But until that happens, then there's way too much to play anyway. I've not streamed anything through Premium, but like Peter, I've used PlayStation Now back when that was a thing. I streamed Tearaway, I think in 2018, I remember giving that a go, and that was really laggy and kind of unplayable, and it kept disconnecting. I did give Oblivion a go last year, just out of curiosity, because I had PlayStation Now, because mainly just to download some games that I wanted to play, like Nier and Gravity Rush. But that seemed to run okay. It seemed to run fine, but then what you're dealing with is that it's, it's the PS3 version of Oblivion, which isn't the best, full stop. They need to find a way to make backwards compatibility work. They need to find a way to allow you to download these games and play them from your console, because, as you guys have said, the people's internet is just not good enough to stream these games. And as Steven says, if the service itself is kind of all over the place in terms of it just closing things down, then that's a terrible user experience, and people aren't going to want to do that. So if I had the choice, I'd just boot it up on the original hardware over streaming, personally, until streaming gets to a far more stable point. However, my preference would be that they sort backwards compatibility out and just let you download this stuff as with everything else on Plus and Extra and Premium and so on. That would be my preference. It's time to move on to something a little bizarre.
A little peculiar, perhaps.
And a little bit new.
It's weird news. It's weird news time. Time for some weird video game news. Remember, you can submit weird video game news to us on social media. That's Twitter and Facebook. And we might read it right here and give you a shout out. Additionally, if you want to guarantee a shout out, you can support us on patreon.com/Team TripleJump at a certain tier and become a podcast producer. Here are the podcast producers this week:
Nathan,
GY Goliath,
Sean Legg,
Walco,
Nicole Hansen,
Ellie Nicholas,
Erica Hutchinson,
Melody Elbonet.
Katie Garrett.
and Gabrielle Philipping.
Thank you, podcast producers.
Before Peter goes,
Yeah, I want to talk about
I think
something.
Ashton has something to show and tell.
So you guys remember, like a month or so ago, when my weird news was about how Gearbox were auctioning off Randy Pitchford's worn shirts for charity. And I, as a joke, bid on 2 of them, a grand total of £16.
A very low amount.
On 2 shirts. For 2 shirts, yeah. And I got an email a few weeks ago being like, hey, congrats, you won. So I gave them my £16. And
Both shirts, by the way.
Both shirts cost me
That's not
£16 per shirt.
in a bidding lot for 2 shirts. That's 2 independent bids.
One of
where the
£6
highest bid
and one of
was
£10.
6 and one was 10.
Yeah.
The interest was high.
Yeah.
Well, this is after they said, we recommend, or we suspect these will go for around, what,
£400,
or
$400
each.
Yeah. And then the other day, a parcel arrived to me from FedEx, from America, that contained my 2 shirts. I've only got one of them because I took the other one home already. But they valued on the customs notice on these 2 shirts, they valued them at $400 each.
£6.
$800 apparently this was worth.
This package.
And they definitely spent more money sending it to me because I didn't pay any postage or packaging.
That's got to be such a... I don't know much about Randy Pitchford, but from what I've learned and from what I've observed, this has got to be such a huge blow to his ego.
Yeah, 100%. But like they
gotta be
sent out
upsetting.
like what 40, 50 shirts they were auctioning off.
Why does the man spend thousands of pounds on these
You
shirts?
say that. I then Googled the company that make these shirts. These shirts do cost upwards of $200 for a shirt.
But Randy's worn them, so they're
Randy's
gone
worn
down in value.
Yeah,
No, they've
exactly.
gone up. They've doubled in value.
They're now worth £16. So I'd like to show you one that I'm going to have to stand up because it's massive.
very Randy.
Right, cover your eyes. It is loud.
Here it is.
Wow.
So loud.
Does it smell like him?
Smells like it was freshly laundered and pressed because it was like perfect.
Yeah, it
but
does
these are all
smell
like
clean.
kind of like embroidered in or
Yeah.
like printed on. And then the back has this giant like embroidered section just on the weird like right
Yeah, it's not even in the
shoulder.
center of the
No,
shirt.
the other one's blue and I
why
might
is
wear it
that
next
just
week.
off to the right? That's really strange.
Oh, and inside, look. There's
Yeah.
does it say Randy?
That
there?
well,
What
no,
does it
that's
say?
the company.
What's it
Robert
called?
Graham.
I bet that
Graham.
feels
Robert
nice on
Graham,
the back of your neck.
Yeah, it's the company, and like I say, these shirts are worth like $250 minimum.
Wow.
And I got it for this one cost me £6.
Stick on
I am
Vinted,
so
Ashton.
glad.
That's what someone said.
Oh, not so glad. Sorry, I'm so sad he didn't sign it.
I know.
Then it'd be worth at least £1,000.
I didn't even get like a letter or anything being like, "Thanks so much."
Yeah,
for
because you
bidding."
paid £6 for it. You're lucky it was folded. Just chuck it in a
Because he was
box.
shut in his room, with the door locked,
Yeah.
crying. They're
Yeah.
like, Randy, you need to
And
write
he's
some
like,
letters.
someone only paid £6. But yeah, and this one is actually going to Ben because Ben got a
Ashton's-
bit upset with me because I apparently told him
Ashton's
not
very
to
kind.
bid, which I
On the
think I said,
podcast.
don't bid a stupid amount of money is
I
what I
wanted to
said.
bid a stupid, but my
And then you
definition of
just didn't
stupid was
bid.
like 50 quid. So then I was
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
okay, well,
and then
maybe
I was
won't.
like, don't bid a stupid amount of money. And then
And
you
I didn't
didn't
get a shit.
bid.
And then I heard
And then
Ashton
when I
won
won, you were like, how
£6.
you told
No,
me
you
not to. I
told
was
me
like,
not to
no,
get
I
one.
didn't. So this is going to Ben.
Thank you, Ashton.
This is for you.
Thank you.
It's a big shirt. I
is
think it'll be too
really-
big for you as
It's
well.
a really big shirt.
So I've not tried mine on yet. I took it home and I'm debating whether or not I turn it into a crop top. I was just going to, and then I looked
cut
at how
up
much
for
the shirt was cost, and I
$250.
was like, oh, it's quite an expensive shirt.
Make sure you hold
But-
on to the rest of the fabric because it's worth a
I know
lot.
I could make a skirt out of the rest
You
of the
could.
fabric.
Yeah, you could
to
make
be
a sort of
honest.
double piece.
Yeah,
Put Billy
a
on that
co-ord.
outfit. So there is officially actual Randy Pitchford, not even merchandise,
No.
real worn
DNA.
It's here. We've got it. We've got a bit of Randy in here.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I actually do have an overwhelming urge to do close-up magic now, having just
I
touched
know.
that shirt.
As soon as I got
Just
them,
wanna
I
do
was
a
like,
card
I need
trick.
some cards.
Wow, I've got an overwhelming urge to be an asshole.
Yeah, I've got an overwhelming urge to put some porn onto a USB stick.
And then leave it in a medieval time. Let's do weird news, shall we? What you got, Peter?
Well, actually, I did just want to say as well, talking of weird news and sort of strange characters in our universe and Billy Ray, we are very much aware of the recent story of Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who has tagged us
please stop.
Yeah.
dozens and dozens of times in the news story about Billy Ray Cyrus.
We know
He's a weirdo.
We know he's a we always kind of knew he was a
We
scandal.
were waiting for
Scandal
something to
absolutely
happen.
confirmed.
Yeah.
Just know that Billy Ray Walrus, the artist, is nothing to do.
I don't think
with...
he engaged in noncery. I think
Well,
it's
exactly.
just a weird...
Billy Ray Walrus, the artist, has nothing to do with Billy Ray the actions of Billy Ray Cyrus, the
No.
creep.
Well, Billy Ray Cyrus also seemingly hasn't engaged in noncery as such. Like,
Yeah.
No.
She was of age.
Yeah.
It's
maybe.
weird.
But it's
That's
weird
for
that
sure.
they met when...
It's okay to be uncomfortable with
Yeah.
it. That's for sure.
Anyway, Kotaku, Luke Plunkett, your standard weird news fare. This
I like
one,
how we don't elaborate on what Billy Ray Cyrus has actually done.
No.
Because everyone knows.
Everyone
Yeah,
knows.
apparently.
Yeah.
This is a news story submitted by me because we didn't actually get that many submissions this week.
It's been
Send them
a
in.
slow
Send them in.
week.
It's been a slow, weird news week.
Yeah. Fallout London cuts zombie Queen Elizabeth, Prince Charles. I hate when they don't use the word and in headlines. Just use the word and. Fallout London cuts zombie Queen Elizabeth, Prince Charles. We have always maintained that if she was to pass away before the mod was complete, we would change it, is the subheading.
Okay, good.
Fallout London, a hugely ambitious fan-made project that is making an entirely new game set in the post-apocalyptic universe, has recently had to announce a couple of slight content changes in the wake of the death of Queen Elizabeth II. At the top of the article, there is this picture.
R.I.P. her match.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
of zombie queen.
It's what
with
she would have
zombie
wanted,
corgis-
to be a
corgis.
zombie.
So would she have been a ghoul in there? That's
Seemingly.
Okay.
Well, let's find out. The mod, which looks so promising, Bethesda keep hiring its members to work on actual Fallout games, originally had plans to include zombified versions of both the Queen and her son, Prince Charles. As PC Gamer report, though, those plans have since been shelved since Charles was made king, with the mod team insisting that they'd always planned for this continency, it says. Presumably they mean contingency.
Yes.
Is continency a word?
incontinency.
Yeah.
Incontinency.
Incontinency.
I'll find out.
Out of respect. We've always maintained that if she was to pass away before the mod was complete, we would change it, project lead Dean Carter says in their latest development update video.
It's the exercise of self-constraint in sexual matters.
In sexual matters?
Continency.
Oh,
So that can't be right.
no.
Is there any other versions of the word?
Nope. The
Cool.
exercise of self-restraint in sexual matters.
I think it's just they've missed out the G.
But doesn't
Oh,
incontinency
there's a
mean
more
you
detailed and more disgusting
piss your
definition.
pants?
I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
But it's still sexual in nature.
They'd always planned for this continency out of respect. Yeah. As such, just waiting. They're reading the filthy definition of continency. Can I just look at it without saying
sure.
it?
It's not that bad. I think you could read that out and it'd be fine.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
It makes
That one.
sense
That one,
because
yeah, it does
of
make
what
sense.
incontinence means. It's just not a
Right.
nice way of writing
I
it.
see.
Yeah? We all
Yeah.
on the same... Kotaku...
Use the wrong word.
Kotaku's... We're all on the same page as Kotaku
Yeah.
and what they meant.
As such, here is the official announcement to notify you all that we are changing it. As to what, you'll have to wait and see. Prince Andrew.
Make him Nancy Zombie.
Do not expect them in there, Carter adds. There's no point asking in the comments. There's no point moaning. And this is the official stance of the mod. It will not change.
What if it's
and there's-
restored with a
So
fan
they're
mod?
taking King Charles out
There's
as
the
well.
picture of Charles. Look at him. So these links, the links to our news stories are always in the.
But also, does it
link
not
dump.
make sense that the Queen wouldn't have been alive at the time that the Fallout situation happen, would she? When is it? I can't remember what year.
Well, a lot of characters end up being like hundreds of years old in Fallout.
Yeah,
Right.
because of
they-
ghoulies.
Right, yeah.
Or because there were secret projects going on and the royal family had some
Oh,
sort
right,
of
they were in
longevity
some, like-
medicine
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Cryo freeze or something.
Yeah, exactly. I can understand the decision to cut out Elizabeth. This is Luke Plunkett now saying
Okay,
this.
all right, Luke, let's hear it.
But if it was okay for the game to include a zombie queen and 2 zombie corgis while she was still alive, it's a little odd that Charles, whose concept art you can see above and who is very much still alive, is being removed as well. Then again, who cares? Fallout is set in the future, when both of these people would have been long gone anyway. The bombs are dropped in 2077, and the games take place afterwards. So the development team have plenty of time to come up with new fictional monarchs, if that's what they'd rather do. There we go.
Yes.
I wonder
mean,
if-
to be fair, they don't have. Do they have real president? They don't have any real politicians in the original, in the regular Fallout.
Not
games.
living ones.
Not
no.
living
they've,
ones.
They've
yeah.
alluded to
Made some, yeah.
past ones.
Yeah, the past ones are in there, but they don't have any living ones. And like, if
No.
JFK was in New Vegas, for example, that would probably cause a bit of a fuss.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are definitely some characters in there who are pre-war people, and they're
Yeah.
not ghouls. They've just, for various different science and strange reasons, they make their way into the
Still
future
there.
through
Yeah.
cryo or drugs or whatever.
How weird.
Drugs.
Ashton.
I have some news. It comes from David Lever, and it is from PC Gamer by Rich Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
Man builds an IRL Minecraft pig called Hamburgini that hits top speed of 20 miles per hour.
Excellent.
Wow.
Controlled by a carrot on a stick to boot.
Can I see that photo?
Of course you can. Look how fast it's going.
Fantastic.
It's
That's
so
good.
fast.
I like that photo.
And it just
Blurred
says
background.
20 miles per hour on the top corner as well.
It's a good photo.
It is a good photo. Electo is a YouTuber and a young man of many talents. Usually these people drive me crazy, but I quite like him. He's got a sense of humour, a lovely assistant called Joe, and happens to be a great technical engineer too. That engineering know-how has now been put to use to produce a rideable Minecraft pig. Lord above knows why he decided to do this project, though it's of a piece with some of his previous work, like building a working Among Us imposter, but he goes for it with some gusto.
Working.
What does that? Does it kill people?
I don't know. So I'm also intrigued by that hyperlink. I'll have to click on that in a minute. But he goes for it with some gusto and breaks down what looks like a lengthy building process, with a few false starts, into a few minutes, and nicknames the build Hamburgini. The most impressive part of the pig, for me, is an electro sticks and IR sensor in the head, which can detect the 3D printed carrot in front of it. Thus, Piggy chases dinner. Then, of course, it's time to see if this pig can fly. The pig is tested at various power levels, with even 60% producing a fairly impressive top speed of 16 miles per hour. When Electro cranks the baby all the way to 100%, it hits 20 miles per hour easily, and dare I say, could probably go even faster. Naturally, Electro puts his pig to good use by trying to order McDonald's drive-thru while mounted, and he was denied, and racing our good friend Joe across several heats. It just says denied in brackets after the sentence. I'm going to give it to the pig here. Although sadly, there's a somewhat abrupt end to our porcine speedster's adventures. I assume he crashes because they've not elaborated on that at all. And then they just talk about what Minecraft is. Someone built a pig that is rideable from Minecraft. It goes 20 miles per hour.
Fantastic.
The thumbnail for this guy's video just says, "This goes too fast."
Yeah, sometimes we put a lot of effort into our thumbnails, and then you see stuff like that where it just says no way or something.
Yeah.
Someone screaming.
Yeah, the screaming face.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
But yeah,
What was the name of the person? Who
Electo.
Electo.
Yeah.
Okay. Just thrown off by the opening paragraph that said, "Who has a lovely assistant
Cool.
called
Yeah,
Joe."
he talks about Joe again
later
in the
on.
article as well.
Bit weird.
It is a bit strange. Strange writer.
Rich. You get a bit of a man crush on Joe, do you?
Yeah.
I got some weird news. This weird news comes courtesy of Chris Thompson at CWT Wheels on Twitter, and it is from space.com,
Cool.
the official website of Space. and Elizabeth Howell. Entire known universe recreated in Minecraft by 18-year-old.
Entire known universe.
Entire known universe. In a game where you can build nearly anything, one 18-year-old spent 2 months creating and sharing the whole observable universe. Christopher Slayton, 18, is a long-time aficionado of Minecraft, a game that allows people to create castles, cliffs, and other objects using old-school blocks.
Huh.
Old school
This person
blocks.
does not know what Minecraft is.
Space.com.
But Slayton supersized the effort, He created black holes, stars, and galaxies using his desktop computer and shared the epic results on YouTube and in the Minecraft Reddit community earlier this month, swiftly going viral in the process. The family-friendly Minecraft, it says, is not a traditional space game in any sense. They only talk about space games. Space.com. But the mods Slayton implemented and shared on Patreon appear to place it among the best space exploration games out there. What am I doing with my life? Slayton said in the YouTube video, which is now pulling close to 1 million views. I've been sitting in this tiny, sweaty room for 8 hours trying to build the curve on a black hole. Minecraft, first released in 2009, which is not a space game, remember, and taken to a wider scale in 2011, now has more than 141 million users. We know this.
Yeah, but I don't think she does. So
No.
she's telling herself this.
It has attracted its fair share of small-scale space mods over the years, like this Baby Yoda in an official Star Wars DLC in 2021.
Is that a space mod?
It's a small-scale space mod, okay?
It's called Star Wars, Peter. It's not Ground Wars, is it? So
yeah.
it's going to be in
That's a space mod.
Yeah.
Everyone freaks out about the power and expansiveness of the universe, which I never really got that much, Slayton told the New York Times. But after 6 weeks of work on the Minecraft universe and 2 weeks creating the YouTube video, he added, I realize even more how beautiful it is. The first problem Slayton encountered was trying to replicate the dark and light sides of planets like Earth in a game that doesn't even have a source of light, not like space, which we all love. He manually put in light blocks and dark blocks, a process that took him days, only to find new issues at ringed planets like Saturn. It took me an entire day just to space out and tilt all of its rings, he said in the video.
Out.
I can go on.
Spaceout.com.
They've basically transcribed the entire video. But Elizabeth Howell has a PhD.
Dr. Elizabeth Powell.
Dr. Elizabeth Howell.
Staff writer,
Howell.
space flight. She was contributing writer for space.com for 10 years. She was a staff writer in the Spaceflight channel, it says. I assume that's YouTube. I don't really know.
Only plays space games.
She holds a PhD and MSc in space studies from the University of North Dakota and a Bachelor of Journalism from Canada's Carleton University.
Space studies is a weird name for a MSc, isn't it? Normally it's like astronomy or something, but space studies.
I really enjoyed that write-up.
That was a really good
I liked it too.
Even though we're sort of taking the mick a bit, it's always fascinating to see how non-gaming people
Talk about
gaming stuff.
gaming,
Now, to put it in space terms, it's a small-scale space mod.
Because the story is actually... I thought it was going to be some crazy, like, procedurally generated thing.
No, he just built the universe.
He's built a scale model of the universe as well. It's like not even... I thought it was like he somehow
made a black hole.
Built, well, not a working black hole, but like a fully scaled solar system in Minecraft somehow.
Yeah.
But no, he's built like small planets and black holes and stuff.
He has.
Which is still cool.
It's very impressive.
But the write-up was...
I've seen a lot of these write-ups that are, again, it's like it's like when Doom running on a such and such, but it's not actually Doom running on a such and such. It's running on a computer and just using the display of something else. And the write-ups make it sound like it's something else entirely. Yeah, misrepresenting it really. But
they have to be ready for all continencies. So
exactly.
Yeah, you have to have a continency.
Space continency.
We've got a question here from Richard Major who says, hello, Bossaroos. Sony have released the final details for their upcoming DualSense Edge controller, including the £210 price. Or I think it's $200, isn't it?
$200 something, yeah.
Yeah. Is the DualSense Edge something you'd be interested in? Would you pay £210 for one? Should anyone? Thanks, Richard. Also a Bossaroo.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
I would not pay £210 for a DualSense Edge controller, is my answer. I quite like some of the things that they've done there. I like that you can customize the buttons on the back, and it like I assume it was representative in the ad that it like even shows a little tiny picture of like a square or a you can like choose what they're going to be. Just to give some context as to, I mean, I don't think it justifies it necessarily, but part of the reason the price is so high is that there are a lot of bits that come with it. So we're talking a controller, a braided USB cable, 2 standard caps, 2 high dome caps, 2 low dome caps. These are for your thumbsticks, I think. 2 half dome back buttons, 2 level back buttons, a connector housing, and a carrying case. For all
Carrying
of that
case
stuff.
is the most exciting part.
Yeah. So I think I'm sort of intrigued by some of the things you can do with the controller, but I would never get one. I know we all know that it's never going to be necessary to have one because games will be developed for people who don't have one. Therefore, it's only ever going to be a bonus. And yeah, it might enhance your gameplay abilities, but I think it's unlikely that there are going to be games developed where if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to play. So there's no particular incentive for me personally to get one. I don't consider myself a pro gamer. Maybe I would be if I bought one of these, but there'll be a certain kind of gamer who will have seen that and thought, hell yes, my time has come. Now I can do what I want to do with my controller, and that's great. But for me, it's not my scene. Also, just for comparison, the Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 costs £160, but doesn't have
a carry case.
Well, I was going to say it doesn't have strictly like-for-like technology, and also maybe it doesn't have a carry case.
Yeah.
So,
The real value's in the carry case.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
It is.
That's what I'm saying.
Are you going to get one, Ashton?
No, I feel the same about the games that use the controller's mechanics. I don't think a lot of games use the current PlayStation 5 bang average controller mechanics. So I don't know if I'm going to use these extra flaps or anything really. Also, I tweeted about this. I feel like I'm too stupid to have to do my own controls. I like the controls how they are. I can't go from using a PlayStation control to a Nintendo Switch without using the wrong buttons all the time. So I would rather they just did the controls for me, and I don't go worry about any extra flaps or other that nonsense. I just have the circle buttons where the circle button is, the square buttons where the square button is, the X buttons where the X button is, and the stick colors how they are. That's what I would like. I don't care about all this other nonsense. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm too stupid. So I would rather they just give me my regular controller for £60 and not have to pay half of a PlayStation 5 to get a new controller.
Do you know what I would have liked them to do? Is to do the Dead Zone control as a firmware update, if that's physically possible. I don't know. Because we had a PS5 controller that just got massive drift, didn't we? Do you remember? We replaced that one.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was just scrolling to the right. And if we'd been able to just widen the Dead Zone, that probably would have fixed that issue. Don't know if anyone else has ever had controller drift on their PS5. I don't think I have.
I haven't personally.
We've got one controller that we got when we first got the PlayStation 5 that is definitely starting to head on over to the right-hand side a bit too much.
Yeah, so, it would be nice. That's no use to me, the fact that the new technology has a Dead Zone control, when I've got my standard controller, which may or may not start to drift one day. So that would be great as a little bonus firmware update, as I say, if that's actually possible. I don't know if that's how hardware and software works, but
you're a big fan of the controller, Ben.
Yeah,
you have many of them.
sorts.
I have a number of controls.
Are you going to get one?
No, I am not. No, because that is an obscene price. I'm not saying that it's bad value. It's not good value for money necessarily, because it certainly looks like you are getting your money's worth. However, the market for this thing is small, and it's weird that they're publicizing it so widely as if it's a really big thing that everyone should want. Because given the state of the world at the moment, releasing a controller for £210.
Yeah.
Releasing a controller for £210 when your PR record isn't the best lately is just going to draw criticism and mocking, basically. And I do think that it's long overdue that Sony had an official controller like this. They own Evo, so clearly they're interested in competitive gaming. And as I said, there are definitely people who will want a controller like this. However, those same people may not want to spend £210 on it. And I don't know how long Sony are even going to support this necessarily, because I have a horrible feeling that they'll release this and then they'll just pretend it never happened, because they released a back button attachment for the DualShock 4 for the PS4. They produced those in extremely limited quantities. They weren't very expensive in the grand scheme of things. It just clipped onto your controller. But the only way you can get it now is from third-party sellers on eBay who are gouging it, basically. I don't think Sony's clearly invested a lot of money in actually making this, but I just think that there was a better way to market this rather than, on all their social channels, just like, hey, here's the new really cool controller, £210. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? That's insane. Silly. And in fact, I have heard, it may well have actually been in reply to one of did you tweet about this?
Yeah.
I think it may have been in reply to that. Someone said that they bought one of the fancy Xbox controllers and then they just left it as stock and didn't move anything around on it because they were like, I don't know why I bought this.
Yeah.
And that's probably what I'd end up doing, is I'd want all my buttons in the same place. I don't play Call of Duty nearly enough to warrant having back buttons. I don't play competitive games all that often at all. It's absolutely not for me, and it's absolutely not for a lot of people. But it's just the almost... Why did they do this to themselves?
Yeah,
why did they?
so
Why did they
weird.
not show it? There's got to be a better way of marketing this to the people who would actually buy it, rather than just announcing a £210 controller to everyone.
Yeah, we saw a shot of it. Like, they announced it at the last showcase they did, that we got we're making a new controller, and then we were like, oh, interesting. And then they were just kind of waited a couple of weeks, and then they were like, it's £210. It's £210.
It's £210, by the way.
It's £210, but you can take the sticks out.
Look at the carry case.
Yeah, wow.
You could put anything in here. Biscuits. You put biscuits in here.
Snackies.
Also, one thing that
Lunchables.
I really like about the DualSense controller, the base one, is the triggers, whatever the word
The
is,
haptic.
the haptic, and presumably, so the new controller has a kind of a dead zone-y thing where you can really shorten so you only have to pull your trigger slightly for it to send a pulled trigger signal to the console. Presumably, if you've got a tiny little bit of trigger pull area now, you won't even, that probably undoes any kind of interesting squeezy triggers, because you're not even pulling it that far to even notice.
Well, when you're in the competitive world of
resistance.
MLG gaming,
exactly,
Peter, those adaptive triggers might actually be a hindrance in the first place.
Well, that's right.
What we should really do is just get rid of the controller altogether, because it's slowing us down.
You know
That's
what
the
we
point.
could
This
do?
isn't for us.
If you
It's
get
for,
a little
kind of
device that you
players.
drag on a table, and you can aim on the screen, and then you have another device that you can
Has
control.
it got lots of buttons on it?
Yeah, with loads of buttons on for everything.
And then
you
you can
need.
use it to access
and
your
you can
email as well.
yeah,
and
you
stuff.
can program it to do whatever you want
That's
in the game.
crazy.
And then and you can just use it on every device.
Can you change the sensitivity of the
Oh
wiggly
yeah,
thing
yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
right?
You can do
Make
that
it
too.
really-
Can you,
You
like,
can
do
even
different
have
colours
buttons.
and
You can
stuff?
have buttons on the wiggly thing as well to you can just use those as well if you fancy.
Can we
sounds
name it
like-
after a small mammal?
Yeah, I know. I think we should call it the gerbil.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Does Sony know about this?
I don't know. We should definitely
My
get
God.
on that quickly.
It's crazy. We mock, but no, none of us are buying this. Let us know if you are in the comments below. It's time for the biggest news of the week, and it's time for the big discussion.
Cool.
It's big discussion time. It's time for the big video game discussion, which this week comes courtesy of Joe, our Discord mod. Thank you, Joe. Were there enough Silent Hill games being made? Heh, it says. And will any of them reach the hype that PT got? So this week, as you may have heard, there was the Silent Hill transmission live stream. Konami finally unearthed Silent Hill. We've heard rumors for ages that Sony are going to buy Konami. Sony is going to develop a Silent Hill remake through whatever the team is called, Blue Point. I remember Blue Point. But no, that's not happening. Konami are back, and it doesn't seem that they want to actually make any of these games themselves.
Yeah.
They're pretty much, they've contracted third parties in all instances, but 5 different products were announced, including a movie, and we're going to go through them one by one and talk a little bit about them. First up, Silent Hill 2 Remake. That is officially confirmed. It's a console exclusive to the PS5 for a year, but is also releasing on PC. They are changing things, so there's a new musical style, over-the-shoulder camera. There's a new voice for James Sunderland, the main character. and it's developed by Bloober team.
Bloober.
What do you think,
Bloober.
Peter? What do you make of it?
My first question, and I'm not like a huge Silent Hill head, as that's what they're called.
Yeah, Pyramid fan.
Yes, indeed. But my first question is, why start at Silent Hill 2, the remake? Why not start at Silent Hill 1?
Well, I was going to ask this question because I've never played a Silent Hill game. And honestly, I'd forgotten this was even happening until Ben messaged in the morning. And I was like, yeah, I should probably talk about that. But I didn't know that they hadn't remade the first one. I just assumed that they had, and I'd missed it.
Right.
Well, we had the Silent Hill HD collection, which was famously terrible.
Cool.
Because it was made by a developer with very little experience, and also Konami didn't have any of the original files. So they basically had to cobble it together, and it was a disaster. Since then, it kind of hasn't really been touched. Interestingly, and we should plug this now, next week, talking of our amazing beloved friend Philip J. Reed, we have Silent Hill ranked. Every Silent Hill game ranked from worst to best coming out next week, where you can learn all about the various games and their qualities.
Nice bit of SEO there.
I know,
Yeah,
the
good
timing is
one.
fantastic.
Great.
Thank you, Konami.
So maybe it's partly because, as you say, the clunky version exists of Silent Hill 1.
I'm not even sure if Silent Hill 1 was part of that collection.
I would
actually.
assume it is, but I don't know.
I'll have to check.
Maybe it's just because Silent Hill 2 is perhaps considered a better game in the sort of original series by the fans. I don't know. I don't know enough about Silent Hill and the fandom to know whether that's the
It's
one.
just 2 and 3.
Just
the
2 and
Silent
3.
Hill HD. So no, they didn't even like it then. Clearly, they decided Silent Hill 1 is such a masterpiece that it's only available on PS1 and you will never get it again.
Well, why not just re-release it then, just in its pure old form?
Yeah.
But you could argue, you could say the same thing to an extent about Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 1 has not been remade in the current style, but it was remade
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. But at least that's better than trying to play it on PS1. So maybe that's you could argue the same thing. They've just chosen what may or may not be the favorite of the original games. I don't know. As for Bloober team, I mean, I've never played a Bloober game before. I've heard mixed things about
Layers of Fear is so good.
Layers of Fears.
Layers of
as
Fears.
well
That's
is
not out
coming
yet,
out
it's
soon.
next year, yeah.
We've also got The Medium and
The Medium was pretty good.
the
to be
Blair
fair.
Witch game. I've played
Blair Witch, yeah.
The Medium, and I really thought it was kind of wonky.
Oh.
I wasn't a huge fan. This has been the major thing about this. We heard rumors for a while that
Yeah,
Bloober
this
were
is the
involved,
thing.
and a lot of the online reaction has been, why Bloober? It's like giving the keys to God of War to like the developer of
Knack.
Well, no, that was Sony Japan, so that would
Well,
almost make sense.
yeah.
But the developer of something like Darksiders, which is an inherently fine game, but it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Well, that's my other question is why, at least with this sort of main series remake, never mind the rest, why are Konami not just completely like handling this themselves?
I
could
wonder what the
understand-
state of their studios is at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Is there anyone left?
I could understand if the other projects, which we'll get to in a bit, were all farmed out to other people, but you'd think this one they would really
Wanna
want to
do that, yeah.
look after it themselves. I don't know. Ashton,
I just wrote the word Bloober down
Right.
as my note. I thought the trailer was weird. I don't know what it was. I was watching it and like I just kept thinking, oh, they're doing a big crescendo at the end of the trailer, and then it just kept like starting again, and then more stuff happening. But yeah, I don't really have an affinity with Silent Hill at all. Everyone always says it's really good, and I'm like, cool. I'm glad everyone else enjoys it. I'm not really bothered, to be honest. So for the most part, I could completely forgot this was happening and didn't even think about Silent Hill at all. But Silent Hill 2, cool. Maybe I'll give it a go.
I have a question for you though, Ashton.
Yes.
Sony and Microsoft are currently going back and forth about Microsoft's purchase of Activision.
Yeah.
And a lot of fuss has been made about the fact, or from Sony's perspective, that this move will be bad for players because they will
Call of Duty and
gatekeep Call of Duty and so on. When Sony is doing stuff like this, like buying exclusivity for a year, how can that not be? How can that not be understood as a point not in their favor?
It's such a Hippocratic thing of just being like
Hypocritical.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, it's consonant thing.
Continents.
Consonants. I just think it's such a weird back and forth that they've been having for this whole time. And every time Sony are like, we're making a really good point right now, don't take it away from the gamers, then they're like, but Silent Hill's just for us.
And Final
Devil's
Fantasy.
advocate, you could at least argue that, historically Call of Duty it's been multi-platform all this time, and
That's
suddenly
true.
to take that away, I think that's Sony's angle. But I agree, I'm with you. It
It's
doesn't
such
look good.
the Oculus of this. It's just not good, is it? It's really not helping their argument at all.
Even if this hadn't happened, I just think from the get-go, Sony have just looked sort of a little bit whiny about
throwing
it.
their toys out
Yeah,
the pram,
it's
aren't
like,
they?
unfortunately for you, and I'm a PlayStation owner, and I don't currently own an Xbox or own Game Pass, so I'm in the camp. But like, unfortunately for you, a purchase has been made, and if it goes through and is deemed legal, then that's just how it works. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just business. Broadly speaking,
That's just business, baby.
It's just how it goes, I am worried about the fact that Bloober's handling this personally. I really want to play this, even though I know it's going to mess me up, because all I've heard is, Silent Hill is like Resident Evil, but instead of scary things that are physically happening, it's scary things that are mentally happening instead. And that's the stuff that really gets me with horror, the psychological stuff that stays with you. So I've always wanted to try, and I talked about it on the podcast last year when I was going through my PS1 Classic Renaissance, when I was playing a lot of Vita in bed. I played through the Crash Team Racing, the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. And then I thought, I'll give Silent Hill a go, because I've had that for ages and I've always wanted to give it a try. I got to the first section where you have to shoot the gun, and L2 and R2 are mapped to the back touchpad, and it just didn't work.
Cool.
So I couldn't play any further. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to jump into 2. And from what I understand, you don't need to have played 1 to know what's going on. So the fact it's happening at all is very exciting. And as we'll talk about momentarily, they're announcing a load of new games as well, although maybe only one of them is going to be a Silent Hill game in the traditional sense. But hopefully this is good, and the interest in this generates something of a second coming of Silent Hill, because it's Resident Evil did it, and I think Silent Hill can do it too if the right teams are involved. So we'll see how that goes. Next up, though, Silent Hill Townfall. This is published by Annapurna.
Oh, this was the weird one, wasn't it? The one that we didn't really see much of.
No.
It was just the
little,
audio.
like, audio recorder thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Something they said later. There's a quote here that I've got. Both the film and games are in their infancy, is what the host said, translated. So this is a case of these games being announced way too early, I think, as we speak about a lot, but we have no dates for any of these. This is published by Annapurna Interactive and developed by No Code. People may know their previous games. They're a Scottish developer that did Stories Untold and Observation, which are adventure puzzle games with horror themes. So you can imagine that this would be a similar deal.
It looks a lot like their trailer for Stories Untold. Like the Stories Untold trailer has like an audio recorder in it that like someone's playing, and then I was like, hey, this looks the same as this thing. So we don't know anything about this, but it does look very similar to that same vibe that they've got going on in Stories Untold. So
yeah. Annapurna, I know that's from a publishing standpoint, Annapurna, but involved in some interesting atmospheric, almost visually abstract games in the past. So this could come out being like completely a complete departure from the Silent Hill style. It wouldn't surprise me if like this was had a totally different perspective and gameplay style, and it was completely different. But at the moment it's just a teaser. So yeah, maybe some kind of puzzle game. Yeah, something like that. A bit abstract.
It doesn't seem that, based on what I've seen of their previous games, you aren't a physical character who walks around. You're largely interacting with things and piecing together sort of a kind of abstract storyline. So I feel like that could work very well with Silent Hill, and a lot of people who have played No Code's previous games were extremely excited on Twitter. It seems like a marriage made in heaven. So we'll keep an eye on that in the next 6 or 7 years, whenever that comes out. A film. It's time to talk about Return to Silent Hill. This will be coming from the director of the first movie, Christoph Gans, who apparently directed Brotherhood of the Wolf, which I watched a few weeks ago. Funnily enough. Great film. Really enjoyed it.
I liked in the VT when they said, Christoph's a real gamer.
That's a quote I have here. Christoph is a real gamer.
Bossaroo, actually.
A real
real
bossaroo.
bossaroo.
Apparently, Christoph is a huge fan of Silent Hill, actually, and has played them all. It's the initial producer, Victor Hadida, is also returning. They talk an awful lot about how they had, not that they had to, but I got the impression they were like, oh, we were trying to, we worked really hard to persuade Konami to basically let us have another go, because the first movie currently sits as a 32% on Rotten
I wrote that. I
Tomatoes.
said, did people like this movie?
No.
People
go
didn't.
well.
Because I think it was in one of my lists that was like terrible movie adaptations of video
Well, we know
games.
that almost all video, even if you don't know specifically about any given movie, we know that almost all video game movies were bad as an umbrella, consensus. So,
And you're only a stone's throw away from Critical Nightmare director.
Uwe Boll.
Uwe Boll, yeah. In fact, I think he may have done some of the later Silent Hill games. That's movie, sorry. Maybe. I'm not sure.
The way they introduced, what's his name?
Christoph Gans.
Yeah, I think his name was like at the end of the sentence or something, and they were saying, "Oh, we're bringing back the director of the first film."
I thought
and I
they
was
were
like,
going to
"Is this
say
gonna be Uwe Boll."
I thought it was going to be Uwe Boll. I'm just going to have a look
it
at
wasn't.
what he's made just to make sure. But it appears to be something of a retelling of Silent Hill 2 with a tortured man returning to the town. I do not know what form this is going to take. I can't imagine it's good.
They've not even casted it or started production yet. So this, again, we're not going to see this film for a good few years at least. If they've not even, they might have the storyboard and the writing done, but there's no cast. There's nothing sorted yet. So they were just talking about, we are going to be making a movie
Here's some
at some
storyboard
point
and
soon.
concept art. Uwe Boll did Alone in the Dark and House of the Dead. Those are the two I'm confusing him with.
I see,
So no, not him.
The first film, though, I know for a fact, contained Pyramid Head,
Yeah, he
or
was in the
indeed
first one.
Red Pyramid Thing, which seems to now be the official name of Pyramid Head.
That's what they called him at one point, Red Pyramid Thing.
They were
during
calling
the
him
video?
Red Pyramid Thing, and then later when they had the dioramas as well, he was called Red Pyramid Thing. In those.
During the stream.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the
Konami
stream.
were
I just
officially
watched
calling him
Also, the
Red
subtitles were
Pyramid Thing.
wrong for the French director at times because his accent was so strong. They were just like, I think that's what he said. and I was like, that's not what he
He's
said.
speaking English with a French accent. I don't know.
I'm
That's
lost.
not what he said.
But in the games, Pyramid Head didn't feature until the second game.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Maybe that's why they're starting there, because it's so iconic, perhaps with the remake.
that's true. But my point is that if this is in the continuity of the first film, which maybe it isn't, this isn't a sequel to the first film necessarily. It's kind of strange that, the first Silent Hill film that was made clearly borrowed stuff from the second game, and now they're making an adaptation of the second game into a film. So it's like, oh, well, you've already used some of this stuff before. So I've got to assume, or the intelligent thing would be to maybe not have this as a direct sequel to the first movie, and this is just an adaptation of the second game.
At least it's not called Silent Hill 2. At least they've called it Return to Silent Hill, which it could just be like, the name of any film.
A spiritual successor or a brand new thing. I just hope if it is a follow-up, Sean Bean comes back.
Yeah, seen Bean.
Seen Bean?
I haven't seen the film, but I know I have seen Bean. So
There was a clip of him in the...
Yes.
Yeah, there was,
a
wasn't
very,
there?
very brief clip of his face.
It certainly was. Next up, we've got Silent Hill Ascension, which is probably the weirdest one in terms of trying to piece together what it is. We heard from Jacob Navuk, I think, who's the CEO of Genvid. Also, Bad Robot Games, which is J.J. Abrams' studio, are involved, as are Behavior Interactive, who made Dead by Daylight, and DJ2 Entertainment.
There's a lot of people involved in this one.
Yeah,
isn't there?
I feel like I'll explain sort of what we know about it in a second, but it basically seems to me that someone went into a pitch meeting with a load of buzzwords like social, integrated, user, live experience kind of thing. And now they have to try and make something like that because it sounds a bit optimistic.
I rolled my eyes when in the trailer there was a player called Hype Beast 420.
Oh yeah.
Or Hype Beast and then some numbers. I was like,
Beast
shut up.
420, baby.
Shut up.
Let's go. So it'll be live in it says live 2023, so it's not released. So that tells you a little bit about what it might be. Face your trauma together. Communal fear, live real-time interactive series, change its outcomes and be a part of scenes, shape Silent Hill canon were some of the words thrown around there. Now, when you look into Genvid, which is the company of the guy who was on part of the video transmission thing, they've made and are still making something called The Walking Dead Last Mile. It's exclusive on Facebook. You play mini games to build up influence points and bid those points on decisions to shape the story.
Right.
So it's some sort of like user-driven experience. But then you've got Behavior Interactive, who make Dead by Daylight. So I feel like this is going to be some sort of big interactive series with some kind of story that's got to make sense that people can vote on, maybe on Facebook. I don't...
Yeah, well, at first...
I hope it's not on Facebook.
At first, when they were talking about live, all being scared together kind of stuff, I thought they were going to say this is a game built for streaming, and so you're going to have a streamer playing the game, and maybe the audience can interact.
He did talk a lot about streaming.
So that's what I thought it was going to be, but now my understanding is that this is going to be an event experience. It's going to happen on, the 3rd of October, 2023, and everyone has to sit down and
that's kind of what I thought.
It's like a one-off. Here's a chunk of story. This is episode 1. You sit down and people are like doing stuff in the chat and like doing things to influence the story. You sit and you watch it and things happen. It affects Silent Hill canon, and then maybe there are subsequent episodes. But I think it sounds to me like it might be these sort of one-shot, live watch-along things that.
But then with the Dead by Daylight gameplay in there as well somehow, maybe there's a gameplay element. It's really intriguing, but it's just we know so little that we're trying to piece together what we've been told and what what the studios involved have worked on previously.
The more I read about it, the more I was confused. Like I started off being like, oh, it's like Hidden Agenda kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, is it going to be like the Black Mirror series that's on Netflix?
Yeah, Bandersnatch. I was thinking of that at
where
first.
you like, it's like a FMV kind of thing. And then it was like, oh, is it like an event? Like everything's happening at the same time. Oh, is it like Dead by Daylight? I'm confused. What's happening? So yeah, it's the more they talked about it, the more buzzwords they used, the more baffled I became. And we're not going to know what a few squoojles in there for sure. So I guess we'll find out next year what it is.
We'll try to. Maybe it's the only one that has any kind of date on it. So who bloody knows? Finally, though, we had Silent Hill F. Or maybe was it? I was trying to work out if it was maybe Silent Hill.
Ashton Silent Hill Hunter.
I was trying to work out if the F was some kind of musical note because it was kind of flourished.
Like a forte.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
You do write an F like that on music and it means loud.
But then I copied and pasted it from a write-up and it was just "fuh," so I don't really know. Anyway, Silent Hill F, we got a trailer. This was and one more thing moment. This might turn out to be an actual proper Silent Hill game. We're not sure. There was a creepy schoolgirl walking through a town, dragging a pipe. Then it cut to her sort of walking a bit further. These strange tendrils were reaching out and trying to grab her. Then she was running away. Then it cuts to sort of an open body of water, and it's that same girl sat on sort of like a floaty raft.
Covered in flowers. And I hope you don't have, is it?
Tryptophobia.
Tryptophobia. Lots of holes opening up
pretty gross.
On bodies and her, and lots of plants coming out of her. And then her entire face peels off.
I don't know if anyone heard me. I was watching it in the office when I got in and I went, oh.
It zooms in a single tear rolls down her cheek and then it just goes and her entire face flops off.
No.
It was kind of strange. It did say not actual gameplay footage at the start, which I think we surmised, but I don't know what that was.
I think I read that it's set in 1960s Japan.
Okay.
Is the setting for this game, which is interesting. We'll have to see like what they do with that, because obviously Silent Hill is a place, like a singular place.
Yeah, it's like a town.
Yeah, so
they have had other towns,
right?
They have had different towns.
It's like the
Silent Lake.
Silent Lake, I see. But yeah, apparently it's set in 1960 Japan, so we'll see what it looks like. But it was a bit creepy, a bit tentacly, because she was like injured, and then they kept leaving like marks on her skin. So yeah,
very
weird.
By it. Again, we don't know much more than that, but that was the Silent Hill transmission. What did you think overall, Peter?
Too much stuff announced too early. We've talked about this before. People have been waiting that long for some kind of Silent Hill news, that all they had to do was come along and say, I mean, even if they just said Silent Hill 2 remake, that probably would have been sufficient for fans. And then maybe, and here's some dioramas, or maybe Silent Hill 2 remake, and then one other thing, the film or one of the other games. That would have been fine. I think to announce all of this stuff, a lot of it being things we're not going to see for a long time. It's what we've been talking about a lot recently on the podcast. It's just too much too soon. And but I'm intrigued by Silent Hill 2 remake. I'm definitely going to give that a go. Ascension, from what we've seen at the moment, looks interesting, just sort of aesthetically. So that looks cool. Less intrigued by sorry, not Ascension, I meant F looks aesthetically pleasing. Ascension I'm less intrigued by, and Townfall as well.
We don't know anything about, so you can't be too excited about it.
And the movie, I don't know, I do quite like French cinema. I think like some really interesting stuff comes out of French directors, especially when it's a little bit like eerie or kind of
if they're incontinent.
Yeah.
He's a real gamer.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting, but I don't know. Given the track record of the first one, I'm not super excited.
I am a bit sick of every franchise getting their own little special hour. That they just talk about stuff that we're not going to see for years. Like Assassin's Creed did it the other week. Sims did it this week. No, not everyone's in the Sims world, but they did a 40-minute long presentation just to tell us that they're introducing babies into the game.
I saw a tweet that said that felt like a meeting that could have been an email.
Genuinely did.
Right.
So it's only taken them 8 years, but they're bringing babies into the game. Good. And I just don't think it needed to. You don't need a whole hour to tell me that you're making some games. I don't care enough about these games that you're not going to tell me about for another 2 years. I'm not going to hear about. I don't care. I'm going to have forgotten about this by next week. It was so forgettable. I forgot it was even happening. So, I just don't think everyone needs to do a special presentation. We can just release them during a conference, or just do what PlayStation do. About a blog post. They don't like to tweet about things anymore. Just tell us about things when and if it happens, not in a big transmission event. There's no point. It's silly.
That's the thing though, if things weren't released so piecemeal, it's Silent Hill hour tomorrow, and then in 3 months' time it's going to be this hour. If all these things were brought together into nice big E3 conferences, then you wouldn't have so many complaints from people saying, why were there no big announcements? It was all just filler and maybe one game I was interested in. Imagine a conference where, perhaps a Sony conference, given they've got the exclusivity, where they were able to say Silent Hill 2 remake is coming, and then, a couple of other things that probably are going to get announced between now and next E3 just at random times. That people would complain less, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a pandemic thing where they were we can do a live show, so we will do a live show type thing. But I just find them unnecessary, and they just take up an extra hour of everyone's week that we don't have time, Konami. We literally have so many games to play. We haven't got time to watch your presentation about 4 games that aren't coming for another 3 years. Please.
I am happy that Silent Hill is back to an extent. Again, it is too early to announce these games. I'm very concerned about Bloober Team being given the keys to the kingdom. I think that's a mistake, honestly. I don't know why you would choose them. They cannot drop the ball here because they don't have a great reputation anyway, which is why this is so surprising. But if they fumble Silent Hill 2 remake, surely it's done for them, right?
For the franchise.
Surely, no way. You've got to imagine Silent Hill 2 Remake, considering we got actual gameplay from that, is going to be one of the first out of the door after Ascension next year. F, don't know anything about that. Ascension, interesting, but we'll see just how much effort we have to go to be involved. Because if it's a case of tuning in, that's fine. If it's a case of like linking your Facebook and your Twitch account and installing plugin, like, no, I can't be asked. I don't want to do that.
There's got to be a better way.
Silent Hill film, it's going to be bad. I'm calling it right now. It's not going to be good. So many game studios now are partnering with the likes of Netflix to produce limited series. Surely that's the way to go. But no, a proper theatrical release is the plan, apparently. We'll see if that ever happens. Townfall, I'm not actually familiar with No Code as a developer or their previous games. I've not played them, but given the excitement shown online, I am intrigued, but it's probably the kind of game, it's not the kind of game that I would normally play. And if it's as effective as their previous games have been, I'll probably find it a bit too scary. So it's the kind of thing that I'd probably watch a playthrough of or something similar.
Play it on joint stream if you like.
Yeah.
Just sit with the guys.
We're your fear friends.
Thank you. Yeah, take care of me. So it was nice to see Konami sort of whirring back to life a little bit, but I think it was kind of a strange way to go about it. And either way, hopefully the future of Silent Hill 2 or Silent Hill 2, that's the only one that matters. Hopefully the future of Silent Hill is really bright. And make sure you watch our ranked list next week because it's really good.
Makes me want to maybe just play Silent Hill 1 now, emulate it. Maybe before that one comes out, might stream it and just play through that.
Don't do it on the Vita.
No, I won't. I would just get a PS1 emulator and do it like that because I too have not played that in full. I played bits of it when I was younger and found it too scary because I was like 10.
It's still scary.
Yeah.
On PS1, it's still scary.
But yeah, it's intriguing.
Creepy bloody game. Well, there we are. That is our big discussion. Let us know what you thought of everything we've discussed this week and all the announcements from this week's Silent Hill transmission. Peter's going to tell you where on the internet you can go to interact with us.
YouTube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. That's where all of our content goes out, both live streams and videos. When we're streaming on both channels, we are modded by Lord Brotovich, Trolling Badger, and Mr. Black. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can get a Twitch sub with that. You've got one with that. You might not be using it, but you can. It's in there. Go and have a look and spend it on us for free.
Please.
Thanks.
Twitter.com and Facebook.com/Team TripleJump for our social media presence. We've got video and live stream announcements on there, legacy video content, things like Twitch stream highlight of the week, bits of news, all kinds of things, mostly coming from Fraser. Thank you, Fraser.
Thank you, Fraser.
Thank you, Fraser.
TikTok.com/@Team TripleJump to go to our TikTok where we sometimes post TikToks, and Patreon.com/Team TripleJump for all kinds of different rewards. Will I get there?
It's the Pepsi Max.
Is that Keanu Reeves?
All kinds of different rewards. You can see me naked. No, you can't. That's
not one.
That's the $500 tier we're thinking of introducing.
Not doing it yet.
No.
But yeah, there's loads of different tiers, and they've all got many, many rewards within them. So go and have a look at all the options and see if one of them suits you.
We have a website. It's triplejU.mp, triplej.mup, spells jump. It's very clever. If you want to join our Discord and chat with our wonderful community, you can go to triplej.mup/Discord. On Discord, we're modded by Jack, Joe, Tori, and Hollow Eyes. And if they're here to do something, bloody well, do it, all right?
Please.
Wow.
If you listen to the podcast in its audio forms, why not go to triplej.mup/podcast? And to catch up on our live stream VODs, go to triplej.mup/VODs. And to check out our Cameo, we're all on Cameo, as is James Jenkins. You can go to triplej.mup/Cameo. And big news, we have some new merch. Look it.
We're all holding it up or wearing it.
Oh, I'm holding this one up too. Look.
What's
see?
that? Oh, you got it there.
I didn't want to put it on because I didn't want us all to be matching. But
yeah, that would be rubbish,
really
wouldn't it? The
embarrassing.
first time we've ever matched.
Embarrassing. We have a This Is Legs t-shirt.
This
is
Legs.
this Legs.
Is this Legs? Sorry, is this Legs t-shirt? If you want to check out if these are legs, and we also have some pins of me, little me.
Ashton holding a knife.
Me holding a canoe. There's 2 types. There's an orange t-shirt one with a golden knife and the black one with a green knife.
And we've confirmed that the orange one is not a special random one, which
No.
we used to do, or we have done in the past. You
Yeah.
can just get that one if you want it.
You can. You can go to TripleJumpShop.com to get this new merch. And make sure you're following at TripleJumpShop on Twitter for when we post hilarious merch announcement videos and also any merch announcements.
Yes, absolutely. We will have hopefully a winter merch drop later in the year. You know, I don't know I don't know if I could talk about any of it actually. I was going to allude to it, but maybe not.
Right.
But it's coming. This is a mini drop, and there'll be some more merch coming soon. So keep an eye out. Why not follow Peter and Ashton on Instagram and Twitter at @PeterAustin and @ScrambledAshton, and myself just on Twitter at @confused_dude. We do lists every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Streams every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday being the joint stream.
Blaze it.
On YouTube, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday being solo streams on Twitch. Worst Games Ever is fortnightly, Friday for patrons of a certain tier, Sunday for everyone else. The podcast's every Saturday, and we do shows all the bloody time, so come and check them out. Why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms, and we really appreciate it. Merch, it's out. Go get it. Tat Appeal, it's open. Come get it. We also just tweeted out a games list of the games that we already have, because a few people were asking about that. It has been added to the pinned comment of the announcement video and also the description of that video if you are not on Twitter, where you can easily
It is,
find
however, not every game that these two have ever played on a worst game.
Yes,
I
it's
didn't
just
go
a
back
triple
all the
jump.
way through years and years of history. It's just triple jump. So there
just
might be
triple
ones that they
So
have.
there's no Vidiots or What Culture stuff on there.
No.
Yeah. So we've had some tat already. It's very exciting. Thank you so much. And go check relevant videos and social channels to find out where you can send your tat. The cutoff is the 18th of November. 18th of November. Additionally, the writing job, the cutoff is the 24th of October, which I believe is the Monday. So make sure you get your submissions in. You haven't got much time left. Thank you to everyone who's submitted already. We'll get back to you soon. Not immediately as soon as the date closes, but soon. We'll get back to you soon. This week on the channel, we've got an October spooky Halloween video, haven't we, Peter?
We have. I had to wear a horrible mask. I actually had to wear it again yesterday at time of recording to do the thumbnail photo.
And it made you unwell.
Well, yeah, and then for about 3 hours, and then I got better later in the afternoon, but for about 3 hours I felt really unwell. And I think it's for unrelated reasons, but Ben is saying no. It was
definitely the mask.
It's definitely mask sickness.
Mask sickness, yeah. It smelled of latex, and so did I. But yeah, I wear a spooky mask and have to play a video game, unable to see it, basically. In fact, Little Nightmares 2 is the video game.
Yep. Come check it out. It should be out right now. Additionally, we have 3 Quipscopes this week, don't we, Ashton?
We do. We have Mario and Rabbids, Sparks of Hope, Scorn, and Plague's Tale Requiem. You can see us playing the game and also hear us talking about them on the podcast and YouTube channel.
Yes, absolutely. There's just enough time, Ashton, to talk to us about this week's sponsor again.
Of
please.
course, coming as an Xbox exclusive versus the new Sony exclusive Silent Hill, it is, of course, Silent Phil Spencer. Yeah.
Phil Spencer, can you hear me?
He can't
No.
answer, he's silent.
No, he's in court at the moment for just the game stuff for
Yeah.
Activision and that.
Yeah.
So, good. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We will see you again next week. Look after yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye.